Alright, this video is, the initial idea of me starting this video is to basically archive one of my white t-shirts. Because I've been on a hunt for white t-shirts for a very long time, and this is one that I purchased a year ago. It's made of very heavyweight Xinjiang, like organic cotton, and I wanted to archive it. At the same time, I was watching this video on YouTube, and this guy was going through the different kind of material and fabric for good cotton t-shirts. And from there, I'm learning a lot of stuff, which is why today I want to compare two white t-shirts that I have. I bought them off the shop. This one is from China, this one is from Uniqlo, and I think it's made in Vietnam. So I want to compare them, but more importantly, the reason I want to do a comparison video is because I'm looking for cotton t-shirts for a while now. I just can't find good cotton t-shirts. All the cotton t-shirts that is online, they all seem to be for men. And you know, men's body is just quite different from women's body. And so I want to make this video, even as a guide for me in the future, and hopefully some AI in the future to help me to find the perfect t-shirt for me. Because the way men look at t-shirt and the way they identify certain kind of aspects is quite different from women. So I'm going to go through the points because I've written a lot of notes over here today. And I want to go through, well, I'll start with the general comparison, different things I am going to start looking out for. Because if I do want to invest in a good t-shirt, I need to know what to look out for. I've got two pieces on hand already. And I'll tell you first, I love both of them very much. And actually, I wear them out quite a bit. However, they're just not the perfect white t-shirt. So I'll go through in details later. But the thing is, to find what the perfect white t-shirt is, I need to know what to look out for. So I'll go through them today. And the only difference between what I'm going to review and a lot of stuff that you can find, that I found online, which is very men focused, is that I'm actually going to explain the fit on a woman's body. Which I don't have any scientific way to explain it. I'm just going to try them on, I'm going to wear them on and explain the fit. Because I don't see that for men. Like, men's body, as much as it's three-dimensional, it's a lot more compact and, you know, like flat. Women's body is truly three-dimensional. It's completely three-dimensional that it just, the fabric folds very differently. And so a lot of the ribbing, for example, the construct matters a lot when it comes to a fit for women. So we'll go into it today. Let's get started with the material. So we'll talk about the material, we'll talk about the features, and then we'll talk about the fabric, and we talk about the material. You know what? We talk about material, we talk about the fabric and weave, then we go into the details of the construct, including the weaves, the length and everything, and then I'm going to explain by trying it on me. The first one is this one from Uniqlo. Ah yes, it's made in Vietnam. Oh, my nails are not very pretty today. So this t-shirt, I got this ages ago. I got this, I want to say maybe 3 years ago, and I wanted a cotton t-shirt. This one is, I remember it's not 100% cotton, so it's 94% cotton and 4% spandex. Whereas this one that I got, this is from China, and this used Xinjiang cotton. This is 100% cotton. And after watching a lot of videos and learning from the perspective of a manufacturer, I understand the difference now between 100% cotton and just slight different, having like spandex or elastane in there. And now what I've learned is that if I'm going to buy a t-shirt now, I actually want maybe 4 to 5% of elastane or spandex. Why? Let's take a look. So the thing is, the main construct of the t-shirt, it should be 100% cotton. I'm a big fan of natural material, and it should be 100% cotton. The only place I would like some elastane is around the collar. And I never thought about this before until, started to read more and watch more and learn more about t-shirts. you know, it's just such a basic piece of cloth or garment, and there's just insane amount of knowledge that goes into it. So the basis of why the collar is very difficult is because our human, right, every human, the collar is just, it's not two-dimensional. It's not that you can just take a rectangle piece of this collar, sew them together, and then, you know, call it a day. This is, yeah, it's not a 2D strip that you just line them up and it lays nicely on your collar, because our collar has two curves around your neck area, right? One on the left, one on the right. And so because of that, we need to figure out how to get the three-dimensional effect from a sheet or piece of cloth. And that is the tricky part. That is how it's difficult. We're not going to talk about the construct of the collar yet, because that's not what I want to talk about right now. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, I don't want to talk about the construct of the collar yet. I just want to talk about the fabric of the collar. So this has elastane. And I don't know if this is a good example, but this is elastane. And what happens is that when you pull it, it should kind of go back in shape, right? Because the whole point of elastane is that it can retract and come back to shape. Now, take this for example. This is 100% cotton. And when I pull it, it doesn't really go back in shape. You know, it kind of gets out of shape, which means, which is the dangerous part, is that if I keep washing this, or after a couple of washes, the collar will go out of shape. It will definitely go out of shape because there's nothing pulling it back. Cotton as its own fabric and fiber has no stretch. And so around the collar, I would like a little bit of stretch. The problem is, with this Uniqlo one, it has 4% elastane, which gives you the stretch, but the stretch is all over the fabric. So you will see it later in the construct, because I think that stretch is important in the women's fitting, because then it can hug your body better. But yes, but it's still, I mean, yes, the elastane helps it to go back to shape, but you can see that this has gone through, and I've had this for a long time, and at one point I was wearing this a lot. I think it has gone through at least 100 washes. The collar now is out of shape, right? That's why I don't wear this anymore, because look at the ribbing of the collar. It's just quite out of shape, and so I don't want to wear it. I wear it at home, but I won't wear it out because the collar is just out of shape, even with the elastane. So elastane helps to preserve probably the structure of the fabric, but I don't think it will keep the shape for a very long time. Maybe you have to hand wash it all the time and not put it in the washing machine, or you have to use the gentle wash with the washing machine. From what I understand as well, you could potentially you spray water around the collar only, and then throw it in the dryer. With the heat, it should help to get it back into shape. So that's something I have not tried yet, but I'm willing to experiment and try this at some point. Okay, so we know that the Uniqlo one is 96% cotton, 4% elastane. This Chinese one is 100% cotton. The next thing I want to, and although they are primarily all cotton, the weave of the fabric is very, very different. The way I would describe it is that the Uniqlo one is what I would call a lightweight weave. What does that mean? If I look up into the light, there's a lot of light here. I don't know if you can see, but can you see my hands? Maybe not. But it's basically very translucent. Like if I put this in front of me, I can see what is in the viewfinder of my camera. It is very, very thin. And I also noticed that because sometimes when I wear like a plain t-shirt, like a basic person, I will put a brooch on. And after a few wears and brooches, you can see that it has caused 2 holes over here. And that just means that the weave is very light. The weave is very loose, because if I just stretch it against the light, I don't even need to stretch it against the light. I just put it up against the light, and it's basically translucent. So the weave is actually of it's very loose weave. That means it's of a lower quality construct, because they just have less material or less fiber added to each piece, each centimeter square of fabric. So it could be by design, don't get me wrong, it could be by design so that it's a lot lighter, and in a humid summer in Japan or just in Asia, it gets very hot. So sometimes you would like a loose weave. On the other hand, this Chinese one that I bought it because it's said to be heavy weave. If I'm not mistaken, it's 240 grams, like GSM, which is a lot of fiber for each area of material. So the weave is just so much tighter. I mean, yes, if I put it under the light, it's translucent, but it's a lot more opaque than this thin one. This thin one, it's just a lot more, it's a lot loose. The weave is a lot looser. This weave is just a lot thicker, I don't know if you can see, but the weave is just a lot more, it's a lot tighter, very, very tight. So much less light passes through. And I can feel it, absolutely feel it. When I wear this actually feels heavy. And so I like this. I like this because of the weight. I mean, I bought it because it's a heavyweight cotton t-shirt. Okay, so we've gotten the basic stuff out of the way. Now let's go more into details. So let's start with the top, right? Let's go with the collar again. Okay, let's begin with Uniqlo and then go to the Chinese one. So the Uniqlo one, as I mentioned, the collar is already out of shape. And it's just quite frustrating that it got out of shape so quickly. It also doesn't okay, so the way it is constructed is that it has a strip of cloth, and then it kind of gets sewn together, which you can see the end over here. It's sewn, this part. I don't know if you can see, but basically I can see the two pieces of fabric added together and sewn there. And then it's attached to the main body of the t-shirt, which is fine, but when you wear it, and I'm just going to do a quick wear over my top right now. When you wear it, it looks weird. Okay. You can see that the back of the collar here, right? It doesn't really fit very nicely on my neck. There's like a little bit that juts out, right? The better way of doing it will be to probably just cut a little bit and then stitch it together, because this collar is constructed is that it takes a 2D piece of fabric, makes a loop into a 3D shape. And of course, I'm not a mathematician or anything like that, but to turn a 2D material into a 3D shape requires a lot more consideration than just change the number from a 2 to a 3. So I can see that it's not constructed as well. Now, let's change to the other one, which is the Chinese one. So the Chinese one is interesting because I've been going in circles for a while now, and I just can't find the part that it's added together, which causes me to think it's not a 2D fabric that they attach together. And I have something like that in my closet as well. It is basically a tube or a roll that they just added to this t-shirt. I never ever thought of collars like that before, but yes, it is fascinating. So there's absolutely nothing. And you know what? There are two. Oh, is it just one? Oh, maybe just one. Okay, then maybe it's not intentional. But I noticed one little snip here, and I wonder if it's intentional or not. But since it's only one and not on the other side of the shoulder, I think this is probably not intentional. So I'll put it on and show you the collar because this is really fascinating to me. The collar just sits, I think it sits very nicely on my neck because this is a 2D piece of fabric that got added. It's a 3D piece of fabric that was designed or made intentionally for a 3D garment. It just fits better. I don't know. I don't know if it's me thinking too much, but I think it definitely fits better around my neck. There isn't the loose, weird random loose part. It just kind of hugs into my 3D body because I'm a 3D person. Okay, so that is the collar. Now, let's go in one more degree to the inside of the collar. I'm going to turn this inside out and we're going to compare the Chinese one with the Uniqlo one. Oh, interesting. Okay, I've never compared it like this, but okay, I guess I'm doing a deep dive right now, so I'm gonna compare it this way. So we're gonna compare the backs together. You know what? I'm gonna turn this around so you're on the table. All right, so I've got these two on top of each other right now. Now let me move it. Okay, so the bigger one is the Chinese one, and the smaller one here is the Uniqlo one, which is made in Vietnam. You will see that both on the back of the collar, it both has this, what's it called? I have it in my notes. It's called a neck tape. So the front is an interlocking weave in the front. Both of them are the same. But the back has this neck tape. The good thing about this neck tape, or the point of this neck tape as well, is that the interlocking weave could be very scratchy on the back. Because the back is where I imagine there'll be a bit more friction. Imagine you carry a backpack or, you know, you can have a lot more friction. Also with this tag, it might be quite annoying to people. So having a neck, what is it called again? A neck tape helps to basically reduce the irritation and really make it nice and soft along your neck. We have this for the Chinese one too. And the difference is that the Chinese one has this shoulder tape as well. Whereas the Uniqlo one is just an interlocking weave, which is what you have at fast fashion. So it just does the interlocking weave so that the other end is just a closed seam. The Chinese one has this shoulder tape, and at the back here, it has a proper, you know, additional shoulder tape. And this stitch, what is this stitch called? Yeah, this stitch is called a chain stitch. So this stitch, where you know there's a lot of really, really, really tiny. Okay, let me change the lighting. Okay, so this really, really tiny lighting here. You see? Okay, I'm going to zoom. Oh, I'll not use my camera this way. Okay, I think this works. Yes, so you can see this very, very thin stitches together. This is called a chain stitch. So the reason for the chain stitch is that it's a lot stronger, which means because this part will get rubbed a lot more, and it also helps with the part. I mean, it gives a little bit of stretch because the fabric is just 100% cotton, right, with no stretch. So I never thought about that before, but it is true. This interlocking weave is just not very comfortable, whereas this shoulder tape just helps to make it a lot more comfortable on the side of the shoulder. Never thought about that. How interesting. All right. So that is what we have for for the back. Now, let us go to stitches. So I talked about this a few times before, and one of the things I want to care about a lot more is the number of stitches on the fabric. So we have both of them here. Let's talk about the number of stitches first before we go into details about quality at the end. So you can see the top one, you can see the much lighter one. You can even see the difference in the weave here. It's a much lighter weave. I'm not even stretching it, I'm just holding it up. You can see how thin it is. See, it's so thin. But the top one is Uniqlo, and the bottom one is the Chinese one. The interesting thing is that I just measured in 1 centimeter, they both have 4 stitches. You know, like 4 of these stitches. The only difference is that the stitches in the Uniqlo one is a lot smaller and tinier, which is still 4, but just a little bit tinier. And then the one on the Chinese one is a little bit thicker. What does that mean? I don't know if it means anything, honestly, because honestly, they are both 4 stitches in 1 centimeter. I would say the difference is that the stitching is a lot smaller here, which I think I can understand because the weave is so much lighter. You can see it's just so translucent that you want smaller like width of each stitch. Still 4 centimeters, which seems to be standard, I guess, but the weave is just a little smaller, which I think helps with the light weave. This, on the other hand, see, it's so much thicker that you know it's not as translucent. So because it's a little bit thicker, it can afford a wider width, but still the same amount of stitches, like wider width per stitch, but still the same amount of stitches in 1 centimeter. Okay, I will wear them later and talk about the fit of the armhole, because that's quite different, and I never knew that until I started to watch more videos and understand more about it. But yeah, actually I'll talk about the fit and the size a bit later, because they have a very different cut. Because they have a very different cut, you can see that the arms itself is very different. I would say that the Chinese one is a bit more unisex. And so it's just a little bit more of a boxier cut. And even the sleeves, it's just so much bigger. Take the Uniqlo one, for example. So this is S and it's for women. It's just a lot smaller. It also has, if I put a 3D piece of fabric on a 2D plane, which is just flat like this, you can see that it has a lot more structure to the fabric, whereas the Chinese one is just a lot flatter. This is where unisex fit, which is the Chinese one, has a big difference to a t-shirt, the Uniqlo one that is meant for women. I would say that I will wear it later and explain, but the women one, it fits nicely on my body. It just cuts very nicely into my body. It's also, the unisex one is also very nice, but it's just nicer. I mean, as a woman, right, it's just nicer to wear a piece of clothes that is meant for women. The last thing I want to add before going into details is the shoulder seam, or the placement of this shoulder seam. Again, right, these are things that I never ever think about. And here I am now making a video and explaining the archive of my clothing and explaining the different kind of clothes. So what we have here is this Uniqlo piece, and you can see that I will wear it later and you can understand, but basically this shoulder seam is right in the middle of the shoulder. It just sits on top of the shoulder. So when you hang it up, it looks very nice because it looks very symmetrical. But the truth is that it doesn't, when you put on someone's body, it doesn't look as good. Because our shoulder, like everyone's shoulder, is slightly rotated forward a little. So you want the shoulder seam to be either a little bit back or forward, depending on your fabric, depending on the cut of the shirt. However, my only thing is that I think we can forgive this a little because this is a woman's cut, and I think we could make do with this. So I'll explain it later when I'm wearing it. On the other hand, obviously you can't see it here, but I'll wear it later and then that will make sense. But this seam, the shoulder seam, is slightly behind. It's not right at the middle or right on top of the shoulder, but it's slightly behind. Which means, because it's slightly behind, it pulls the back a bit straighter. So when I wear it, you can see the back is actually much straighter. And the front is a lot more free moving. Also because this is a heavier piece of material. I personally like it because it's a heavier piece of material. The seam, the shoulder seam, it's a bit backwards so that the back folds down nicely. And because, again, the fact that I'm a woman, and I don't think men will understand this, but because I'm a woman, the front is just a lot more three-dimensional, let's put it that way. And because this is a heavy material, I think it fits a lot nicer because I don't want the front of my shirt, or my t-shirt, I don't want the shoulder seams to be in front because then of the heavyweight material, it will pull the shirt down and then it will look very weird on me. So I'll wear it later and explain. I'll also wear this Uniqlo one later and explain, and then you observe this later. But I think Uniqlo could get off with just in the middle because this is a woman's cut, which means the front is a lot bigger to accommodate the chest. And because of that, the front can have a very nice 3D effect of the feminine aspects of a woman without the shoulder seams either giving it too much fabric or having a bit too tight on the front. If anything, I think I might like the shoulder seam to be slightly a bit back so that the back is straight. But I'll wear this and I will take a look. One last thing before I end. Okay, this is a lot. So next time when I buy t-shirts again, whenever I am done with these two and they have completely filled me, they have not completely filled me yet because they're still in my closet, what I will do is that I will take a measurement, which is what I've done just now, and basically to measure the length of the shirt from the left side and the right side. And I want to make sure that it is symmetrical in length. So can you see? Yeah, okay, you can see. So this ends at like 52 centimeters, and the left side also ends at 52 centimeters. And then if you do it on the shorter end, they're also the same. So this, as much as here looks like it's a bit rounded, it's actually symmetrical. Now, the problem is I do not have the same symmetry with this Chinese one. And you would think that the Chinese one is a lot higher material, right? Because I think the construct is genuinely better. However, the problem I have with it is that it is not symmetrical. Like here, it's 63 centimeters. And here, okay, this part is 63 and 63. The end is about 59. And here is 58. So it's not perfectly straight, right? It's almost straight. I mean, okay, fine, it's 1 centimeter and maybe it's the crumpling or something. But it's not perfectly straight. See, even the back and front, you can see it. I'm putting it straight now. And even the back and front, there's a little bit of a gap. So this just tells me that this is not or the quality check is not very high, which means they are not a very high quality piece of t-shirt. And of course, I mean, this t-shirt, I don't know, it's less than $50. But of course, if I go upwards towards the $100 to $500 range of t-shirt, I'm very sure I can see a difference. And I'm not interested to spend that amount of money for a white t-shirt yet, so I do not have that. But yes, if a t-shirt is less than $100, less than $50, it's just not going to be perfect. All right, so those are the things I want to show you on flat, and then now I will try the shirt and explain my thoughts. All right, the first one up we have is the Uniqlo shirt, the Uniqlo t-shirt. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I think a white t-shirt is an absolute basic that everyone should have. So I have two now. and I'm not satisfied with them. So I'm going to wear them a lot more until they can't be worn anymore. And I will go buy, now I have more information, more data points to go and hunt for the right t-shirt. Which I don't want it to be $500. I know with $500 or even $340, you get a very good t-shirt. And of course at the $2,000 mark, which is the Loro Piana Kings of Kings cotton, it will be very, very well crafted. I just don't want to spend that amount of money. So I just need to know what to go and look out for, and I do not care about brand, I care about quality. So let's come back to where we have today. So we have this Uniqlo t-shirt. I'll just comment very lightly on how I feel about the fit, and then explain some pros and cons. So firstly, fit-wise, I really do like the fit. From just a pure wearing standpoint, because I think it just hugs my calves quite nicely. I mean, it really helps me to look a lot more me, and I like it. Now let's go into details. Firstly, I'm very annoyed with the collar. Every time a collar gets out of shape, I either go to the tailor and remake a collar, like get a new collar, or I donate the shirt away. So I think I might need to go and, the thing is, this material is just not good enough for me to go and repair, you know, which I go into details later. So the collar is annoying me quite a bit. And you can see that oh, actually it's slightly back. It's not 100% straight. So I was telling you about this shoulder seam. It's slightly back, but I don't think it's back enough, because if it's more, or maybe because you can see that my back there's some ruching at the ruching of fabric, and I don't like it. I think that makes the piece of garment look very cheap. I really don't like that, and so I don't wear it out. Or if I wear it out, I make sure it's properly tucked into a nice shorts or trousers. But it being back makes sense if this is a heavy material, and then the weight of the fabric kind of falls down and pulls this straight. But because this is so light, I mean, it is so light, you could like kind of, I feel like this is a semi-transparent t-shirt, and I really hate it. But I imagine if the fabric is a lot heavier, this will be pulled down a bit more, and then it will look like it's crafted and it's shaped to my body. So because it just looks like a very cheap finish. Yes, the seams are back. Yes, it's meant to put a bit more weight to the fabric at the back, so that it's supposed to look a lot straighter. But that's not happening, because this material is just so goddamn thin. And I never noticed that when I first bought it, because I didn't have enough information, but now I do. And I do not like it. Okay, the second thing, oh, my nose is acting up. So the second thing is the sleeves. So because this is a woman's cut, so you can see that the sleeves are, when I put, how do I say, it just, I don't know, I feel like it's a lot more, it's fit to like, it's structured to fit more like slender women, I think. However, because it's cut so high, right, when I move my arm, there's quite a big movement in the shirt, but when I put my arms down, the shirt doesn't come down. Right? I'll show you again. Okay? This is me putting the shirt down, prim and proper. Lift my hands up, come back down, and it's just this weird additional fabric here. So it's just not crafted well enough. I mean, this is from the women's line. And so if you're crafting something for women, it's nice if everything, is pulled down, prim and proper. If I don't move and I just stand still, I think it's okay. But because we're people, right? We move around, we jump up and down, we move our hands, we move our bodies. This shirt does not fit someone who moves around. It fits someone who just sits there and does nothing. Okay, all right. So the next thing here, I've already commented about the fabric. It's just pissing me off very much, and I need to get out of this quite quickly. It's nice to just wear this and lounge around the house because it's just very light in material. But wearing it out, it's just not appropriate. The other thing is the seams here they're just coming off, right? I have done like 100 washes and they have literally just come off. I find that quite disappointing. That's the thing, right? I do like Uniqlo. I really like Uniqlo very much. I think for basic materials or basic garments, they have done a very good job. But it's not a piece that you will wear long term. I have gotten a Uniqlo shorts before, and I love them. I love them to death. I've worn them and completely abused them because I wear them all the time. But after maybe 4 or 5 years of absolute consistent use, it just kind of completely fell apart, and I had to throw it away because it's just beyond repair. So that was 2019, and actually that was probably 3-4 years old, that shorts, and I threw it away. This shirt is maybe reaching that same age, 3-4 years, and I don't think it can be salvaged after a couple more washes. So I love Uniqlo very much, but I don't think they are pieces of garments that I could buy to have an everlasting wardrobe. I think they are just functional pieces that you could wear after 100 to 150 washes, and then they need to be discarded, which I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, so that is it. I would also say one thing that I do not like is, don't know if it can be seen, but I'm just standing proper and straight right now, and you could see that the seams on the side is just not made properly. It just doesn't contour to my body, and I get it because this is not custom made. This is just off the rack. But I initially, before I started critiquing this piece, I really love this t-shirt, but now that I'm going into details, I realize I do not like this t-shirt anymore, because it just kind of it's just not done properly. The seams, it's not proper and flat, and I feel like I have to keep pulling it down to make sure that it kind of holds its shape. Maybe it's just too light, maybe the fabric is too thin, but that maybe a thicker fabric with the same cut could help quite a bit, because then all I need is to be pulled down a little, which means the heavy fabric can help draw the weight down towards the ground, which helps to create a very nice silhouette of the t-shirt that kind of molds with hopefully any woman's body where they fit the size. At least my body, for sure. Yes. Yeah. So, in conclusion, I'm not a big fan of this t-shirt anymore, at all. I'm not going back to Uniqlo to get any one of their t-shirts. Let me change out to the Chinese one. Alright, this Chinese one is a bit different, as you can see, because this is a bit more of a unisex one, and it fits, like, it's a little bit bulkier, it's a lot boxier. It doesn't hug the shape. It's not the figure hugging silhouette of the Uniqlo one. This is just a bit more of a straight cut, which is your classic t-shirt. This might be, it's more unisex, but I think it's more towards men. I mean, women can always wear men's clothes, which we're very lucky, but it's not, the cut is not for women. However, I like it very much because of how nice it feels. The material feels extremely soft, and it's soft yet very thick. It's a heavyweight cotton, heavyweight material. The thing is, I don't know enough about the cotton strand, the cotton thickness, the type of cotton that these two pieces use, so I can't comment on that, but this is definitely a heavyweight cotton, which I really like. Okay, so we've already talked about the collar. I quite like the collar, actually. Yeah, I like that. And you can see that, so here, it's a lot further back, the shoulder seam. And because of that, and because this is a heavyweight material, even I'm not doing anything, it's a lot, straight on the back. The weight just pulls it down better, which means I've got a nice straight back. And I don't know about men, because I am not a man, but at least for a woman, I really like when the seam is at the back, because you kind of have your boobs at the front, and if if this seam is in the front, if I pull it all the way to the front, there's just a lot of extra fabric kind of like hanging down, and if you're already quite 3D in the front, having more material just gathering in front looks very messy. And I think, especially if a woman has a very, very large chest, I imagine they would want the seams to be a lot more towards the back. So the back gets pulled down so it's straight, but the front gets pulled up, and the heavy weight material of the fabric kind of pulls down. So you have counter forces going on, which helps to make the front look a lot more flat, and then kind of can contour to the curves that you have. I don't know, I imagine a woman with a much larger chest could appreciate that better, because it helps, everything looks a lot neater. For a woman with smaller chest, I imagine, also depends on the fabric of the material, but maybe a little, the shoulder seam being a bit more in front could have a bit more detailing, especially with interesting patterns and designs and weaves, could be a bit more interesting on the front, which helps to add a lot more color and flavor to the garment fitting someone's body shape. Me, I have a really regular body size, like genuinely very, very regular body size. So, which kind of sucks because sometimes, my body size is the first thing to run out at ready-to-wear places. But I don't buy ready-to-wear that often anyway, so it really doesn't matter with me. So I like this very much. I think the way it's constructed, because it's a little bit behind, at least for a woman, it fits very nicely. For men, I don't know. Depends on the man's body shape and stuff, I have no idea. Okay, now, this is a lot darker. You can see that this is a lot more, the weave is just tighter. It's not translucent at all. You can't see what is underneath. You can't see my necklace, and you just can't see what's underneath, which is something that I like. Okay, the next thing that's different is the sleeves, right? The sleeves just now, it's a lot more body hugging. This is a little bit bigger. It's kind of like I'm a bat, got wings. But also it's cut a lot lower. Just now was really at your armpits, this is a lot lower. And because it's cut lower, it gives me the freedom when I move up and move down, it can really just kind of flow with my movement. And it's also not weird where it's cut up so high and tight that when I can move from beside my body all the way to parallel to the ground, and the t-shirt doesn't move, it doesn't move much. It's only when I really, really lift all the way up above my head that the t-shirt moves with me. And I think that helps with, especially if you're moving a lot, that helps with keeping the shirt kind of t-shirt down and looking a lot more prim and proper, a lot more organized, not super messy. I'm not a big fan of huge messiness. And then, what else? Okay, so the shape, just now the shape is just a lot more figure hugging. This is just very boxy, right? Which is why I assume it's unisex, because it can pretty much fit anyone, any gender. It's just completely easy. And yeah, that's it. I think, so some quick conclusions. The next time I'm ready to go and get a t-shirt again. So, wait, 2 points. The first one is, again, this is why you do not buy things online. When you buy things online, it's kind of hard, even if beyond the fit, right? It's kind of hard to know the stitching, if the shoulder seam is on top of the shoulders, behind or in front. You can't tell if it has all these different small little details that you don't care about, but it's actually quite important. Also, if you want to measure, your pit to pit or the length of it, you want to do a couple of measurements to make sure that it's symmetrical, left and right symmetrical, and depending on the different kind of styles, maybe even top and bottom might be symmetrical because of some reason. So it's very important to know what to look out for, and then go and find them in stores, in person, touch them, feel them before buying. Buying online is just, I don't know, I'm not a fan of buying online. The more I learn about material, the more I'm archiving my stuff as well. I'm uncovering a lot more about what's good and what's bad in terms of material, fabric, garment, and it helps me to be a lot more informed as I go and purchase my next item. So the second thing is, what have I learned so that I will apply them when I'm ready to go and look for a new white t-shirt. The first one I really care about is the weave. Previously when I bought the Uniqlo one, I didn't care about it. I just thought, oh, white t-shirt, great price, and I'm just going to get it. I never thought, nothing, it didn't really occur in my mind about all these other details. Now that I'm a lot more aware, it's like buying a laptop. You have all these specs, right? What is the RAM? What is the storage? Because I'm in the process of buying a Mac Mini, and I'm going through all these specs and making comparison. That's kind of the detailed level of work I want to go into when I'm buying a new piece of clothes. So I want to take a measurement with me so that I can measure the left and right. Are they symmetrical? I want to measure maybe the sleeves. Are they the same? I want to make sure that the piece of garment I'm buying is very high quality. The second thing is I would care a lot about stitches. Part of measurement again. How big is each stitch weave, and how many stitches are there in a centimeter? Or maybe it's better if I do it maybe 3 centimeters. Then it gives me a bit more range to calculate. I'm also going to care about the collar, how it fits against my neck. If this is a 3D piece that's added to a 3D garment, that is fine. It seems to fit quite easily. But if it's a 2D strip, kind of tapered at the end to fit into a 3D garment, then it might not work properly. Things can definitely be done. You just snip the part that comes out a bit, and then kind of sew them together, and then it will lay flat against your neck. But yeah, these are things I will look up for. And then I'm definitely going to understand a little bit more about the construct of the fabric. So if, let's say, they say 94% cotton, 6% spandex or elastane, I want to understand, is that throughout the entire fabric, or maybe just the collar piece? I want to know that information. And then there are different types of different grades of cotton as well, different kind of weaves as well. So I want to understand them and get as much information as possible before making my purchase. Of course, that being said, I also know that if I go into a Uniqlo, right, with all this information ready to ask a salesperson, they would not know. And they can search their little phone that they have or the tablet that they have, and they will still not provide this information, because this is a bit more of a manufacturer's piece of information that probably only, couture shops or couture houses or high-end brands will have that information. Or you go and get things tailored. You know what? That's what I should do. I should go get a t-shirt tailored. It's going to be so much cheaper. Just buy a very good high quality piece of fabric and then go and get it tailored. I think that is so much better. Yes, you know what? That's what I should do instead of buying and spending a lot of money on t-shirt. So, my nose is very annoying right now. So that's what I will do. Oh, one last thing that I know, but it's not happening on any of these shirts, so it doesn't really matter. But okay, you cannot see this, but the weave, I can see it because I can see the weave. The weave goes downwards, right? And what I'll do is you take a ruler and then put it against the weave to make sure that it's straight down. This is also straight down. I've done the measurements of this too, that's why I didn't do the comparison. But that's called a straight cut, which means if I don't do anything, it just lies perfectly straight down. The other end of it is called a bias cut, and which means this is a straight cut. Like this, right? A bias cut is where it's 45 degrees, and they can see that there's just a lot more flow to it, like some silky flow to it, water flow. Because when you have a bias cut, which is 45 degrees along the edge, it gives you that very nice flowy fabric material. And I realized I like this kind of flowy stuff, and I have actually quite a lot of bias cut of garments. But my point is, when buying a t-shirt or when buying clothes, you want to get it either straight cut or bias cut. What you don't want to get is kind of a halfway cut, which means they didn't care about the fabric, they didn't care about the weave, they just cut out the pattern in whatever big sheet of fabric that they have, and then piece together a garment. It might look nice just hanging up, but it's not straight down, it's not perpendicular to the ground as it should be. It's not straight cut. It's not even bias cut, it's just a weird angle bad cut, which you probably get at fast fashion because they just don't pay attention to these things. So that is something actually quite important. Oh, and lastly, which is a bad thing about this Chinese one, there are loose threads. There are 3 loose threads that I saw. And it's not about the number of loose threads, it's just that to cut the loose threads out takes you 30 seconds. And maybe another 30 seconds to look for loose threads for every piece of garment. That's 1 minute. I think people can afford to take 1 minute out per shirt to look for these fibers or these extra fibers and cut it. It should not be that difficult. But again, you know, I'm comparing these bit more fast fashion-y, cheaper fabric garments to very, very high quality standards. That being said, I think it's also very fair because clothes should not be something of fast fashion. I think clothes should be something that it's part of your style, it's part of your outfit, it's part of your wardrobe that's completely curated and it fits your lifestyle. It should not just be something you buy disposable and then throw it away. So to have, for every piece that comes into the wardrobe, for every piece that stays with you, you want to make sure that they are of the highest quality. And you know, there are a lot of shirts out there. There are a lot of other options out there. If it doesn't fit your quality checks and the checklist, don't buy them. Simple. Because there's so many other options out there. And also you could just take a longer time to save up. It's me talking to me. Take a longer time to save up if you really want to buy the $2,000 Laura Piana Kings of Kings cotton t-shirt and get it. Or you just go and buy the Laura Piana fabric, which is not very expensive, or not as expensive as, you know, going to buy a t-shirt from the boutique. Go to a tailor, get it tailor-made, and it'd be exactly the t-shirt for me. That's a much smarter option. I stopped buying things from boutique anymore. This white t-shirt is one of the last things I bought from the boutique, and that was about a year ago. I really don't buy things from boutique anymore. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. And also, to get things tailored, it's not just going to the tailor and say this is what I want, right? You've got to know what you want. And going through all of these, comparing, learning from other people, she's learning from a lot of men as well because they just have higher quality clothes. So just compare women's clothes to men's clothes, you find out where women's clothes are lacking. We have more in design and optionality, but we're very lacking in the quality part. So if I can take the quality that men's clothes have, apply it to the optionality that women's clothes provide, perfect. And of course, men can always take the optionality and artistic aspect, put it into men's clothes, perfect, right? Okay, so that is the end. I thought of archiving these 2 pieces because I actually like them quite a lot for different reasons. I like this because it's I wore this out a lot because it nicely hugs my body and it just fits a lot of stuff. It's a very basic piece that elevates when I wear a fun shorts or have a nice bag. It elevates the outfit very much, but because of the thin material, I don't like it. This one, I love the heavyweight cotton, very, very good quality cotton. It's very nice, very airy, but there are just some pieces, some parts of it that's just a bit missing. So I don't like that. And I mean, you can't see it because it's only 1 centimeter, 1 to 2 centimeters apart, the length, and also the front and back is just maybe 2 centimeters apart, difference in length. Nobody can see that, but I know that exists, which means it's not made with the utmost care. And I'm just not interested in it. I will still wear both of them until they completely give up. Then I go and tailor-make one of these new white t-shirts. But until then, I will wear them. I don't really wear t-shirts anyway, so I'll just wear them when I run errands. Okay, it's a very long video, but hopefully that gives me more information of what to look for when buying new t-shirts, or get my AI to create a tailor-made checklist so I can give to the tailor who will be making it. Bye!